What's up, Generation 420? I am Unk. Welcome back to the G420 Studios. Today we're going to be doing some conspiracy videos. We put a bunch of conspiracy videos together, so I hope you enjoy those. If you like our comment, please like, subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff. Get us in your algorithm. Share us with as many people as we can so we can get a whole bunch of subscribers. And I can keep bringing you guys these fantastic videos. Let's go with today's sample. Let me put the old man spectacles on so I can see it. Today's specimen, sample, whatever, flower, comes to us from Redonkulus in Alamogordo, New Mexico. Thanks, Redonkulus. This is called, This is Permanent. This is Permanent. It's a 20-pack of pre-rolls you can get at Redonkulus here in Alamogordo. Doesn't give me any more than that, so we have no idea what the THC or CBD or canna numbers are, so it's a mystery, and that's okay because that goes along with today's videos, conspiracy videos. And with that, guys, let's get right into it.
Imagine that this folder is a dimensional plane. Now, assuming that it is no height and no depth, what would this mean? It would mean that it's a one-dimensional world. So if, hypothetically, an organism was living inside of it, it would only be able to move in a linear path forward and backwards in a straight line. Now, if we go to the second dimension, we have two dimensions. We have width and we have length. So hypothetically, if an organism lived inside of here, then it would be able to move up, down, left, right, and anywhere else in between. And a two-dimensional world is comprised of an infinite series of one-dimensional worlds stacked upon each other. Just as our three-dimensional world, which has depth, and length, and height, is comprised of an infinite series of two-dimensional worlds. So, now that I've stacked many folders upon each other, we have three dimensions. We have depth, we have length, and we have width. Now what happens if you keep going on from here on out? We would have a four-dimensional world. What exactly is the fourth dimension? In order to understand this, we need to understand how dimensions are perceived. We live in the three-dimensional world, but despite that, we actually view things to be two-dimensionally. Take a perfect sphere, for example. If you're looking at a sphere, it looks just like a regular two-dimensional circle. The only way that you can tell it's an actual sphere instead of a circle is because of the hues of light on it. So just like in a two-dimensional world, if a organism in the two-dimensional world was looking upon a circle, the light would make it appear to be lighter at one end and darker in the middle. Also, if an object is moving closer and farther away from you, you don't actually perceive that it's getting closer and farther away. You see that it's getting smaller or larger, and then you assume that it's getting either farther away or closer. But let's say that an object was to grow in perfect equilibrium, so that it was growing at the same speed that it was shrinking as you move it farther away. Then you would not be able to tell, without any lights or if there were details on the object, that it's moving or growing at all. You may have assumed that since we perceive things to be in two dimensions, that a two-dimensional organism would see in one dimension. So, as we're watching this rubber band expand as it moves farther away from this little organism in the two-dimensional world, it does not actually perceive anything's happening to it because it's growing at the same speed that it's moving farther away. But since we can actually see it from the three-dimensional world and perceive things to be in two dimensions, we can see things for how they actually are. The reason that the two-dimensional organism doesn't see things the way they really are is because the two-dimensional organism sees things in one dimension, just how we, three-dimensional creatures, see things in two dimensions. So in a way, we don't really see our world the way it truly is. A four-dimensional creature, however, seeing our three-dimensional world in three dimensions, would be able to see through things, would be able to see absolutely everything, just as we could see if there was several organisms spread along a 2D environment on your floor. You'd be able to see inside houses, you'd be able to see inside of people. So if a two-dimensional world, a flat surface, is just made of an infinite amount of lines, then the 3D world is just made out of an infinite amount of planes. So the 4D world, logically, is made out of an infinite amount of 3D objects. Though they're not just put together like you would like building blocks. That's not how the 4D world is. That would just be 3D again. So in order to understand this, we need to understand the logical progression of mathematics in our world. Imagine that this connects piece represents the first dimension. It's simply a straight line, which is basically what the first dimension looks like. And if you add 3 more of these straight lines and connect them so that adjacent sides are perpendicular and opposite sides are parallel, then you have the basic shape of the second dimension. You have a square. Now if you keep going from here, and you add it so that there's a total of 4 squares, and all adjacent sides are perpendicular, and all opposite sides are parallel, then you end up with, obviously, a cube. So, if you tried to keep going from here, and you would have a 4-dimensional basic shape, you would have what's called a tesseract. Now, I cannot show you a tesseract, but you need to understand that it's basically 4 cubes that are within each other that have all adjacent sides perpendicular and all opposite sides parallel. Yet there are 4 lines connecting to each vertex. So a tesseract would look somewhat like this picture. Now, that's not exactly what it looks like because this is a 2-dimensional depiction, and obviously not all the lines are straight. So I cannot show you what a tesseract actually looks like because we cannot perceive things in the 3rd dimension. You cannot even imagine what a tesseract looks like. You cannot in your mind picture the 4th dimension or a 4th dimensional shape. And you can keep going on from the 4th dimension even. You can go to the 5th dimension, the 6th dimension, the 71st dimension. It doesn't matter. Theoretically, there are an infinite amount of spatial dimensions. The common misconception of the 4th dimension is that the 4th dimension is time. Now, while some argue that by going forward and backwards in time, if you move forward the same distance and backwards the same, then you would end up in the same place you started, just like in the 4th dimension. And while that may seem logical, if you think about it, it really doesn't make sense. If you imply that the 4th dimension is actually time, well, first of all, time is not spatial. There's a difference between space and time, quite obviously. And assuming that all dimensions are according to a pattern, then that doesn't really make sense either, because saying the 4th dimension is time, every dimension has time in it. So that would mean that the 4th dimension is special in some way, which doesn't really make any sense. Another reason this doesn't make sense is that we very, very, very slightly travel through time whenever we move due to the distance that light takes to get to our body. Now, if a group of astronauts were to get in a spaceship and they were to go very, very, very close to the speed of light, then they went around this impossible, nearly the speed of light spaceship for a few months, and then afterwards they returned to Earth. They would find that Earth had actually progressed a few years, so they had moved forward in time by moving that quickly. Another interesting concept involving the 4th dimension is that many physicists and even mathematicians may say that the dimensions are very, very slightly curved. Because if you really think about it, nothing can be truly, absolutely infinite. So imagine that the first dimension, the line, is just very, very slightly curved, so that after a very long time, it will end up creating a circle. So, as suggested by many physicists, if you keep going in the same direction, then you will end up where you started after a very, very long amount of time, obviously. And the same thing would happen to the second dimension. If it's just a square, and then you extend it very, very slightly in a curve, and it will eventually make a sphere, and the same thing happens in our dimension, except it will form a very, very slightly curved, 3rd dimension, which will form a 4-dimensional universe, basically. So what this kind of means is that our 3-dimensional world is within a four-dimensional world, and the four-dimensional world is within a fifth-dimensional world, and so on. Now, I did say that nothing can be truly infinite, but if this is true, and a dimension is really within another dimension, within another dimension, within another dimension, then I'm implying that there's an infinite amount of dimensions, which is the only problem I really have with this theory. I'm not sure if it ever stops, or if infinity is really even possible. We don't know that. Thanks for watching my video, and I hope this gave you a better idea of what the fourth dimension is.
That young man was dropping some knowledge.
Most feared men in Hollywood. They don't like me in Hollywood.
Why do they not like you?
I don't wear dresses. I don't do that gay stuff on TV. There has to be some other black person to do that stuff. I'm talking, that's good. But they all confess they love the Lord. But you cannot compromise yourself if you love the Lord. So I play tough guys, but young kids want to be soldiers. Young kids don't want to follow a guy to wear a dress. You know what I'm talking about.
Kidnapping children is not what great nations do. We in America are misinformed. Reality shows have warped our idea of what a hero is, or what the truth is.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another conspiracy theory. You've seen all the grainy footage of nuclear test blasts that you've seen the mushroom clouds. And there are always these grainy things, and there's all these like little houses lined up, and these little trees lined up, and it blows everything down. Yeah. Okay, so here's the question, right? So what happened? Okay, so this is great. Okay, I love this. So what happened to the camera?
You son of a...
How is that happening yet the camera's like totally stable and fine?
Oh my god.
And by the way, the film was fine. The radiation didn't cause any damage to the film.
Oh my god.
And by the way, okay, we'll do this one more time here. Where's the, let's see the car? There's the car.
Oh,
Okay,
showed up.
so wait a minute. First of all,
Wasn't there.
First of all, where the car
No
comes
car.
from.
No car.
Second, does it really look like
Car.
Does that look like a real car?
That's insane.
Is that a house, or is that like is that a 12-inch scale model?
What?
Right.
That does look fake.
They lost the camera, didn't move it all yet.
You know what it looks like? It looks like the smoke is too big. Watch when it hits. Like the volume, like the size of it, it looks small. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it looks like we're looking at something that's like a few inches tall.
If you watch like Making of Star Wars, any of the any movies before CGI, whenever they do anything like that, it's always with these tiny models.
Yes. Yeah, this looks fake as shit.
This is another one. It's like, okay, but the camera's fine.
That's hilarious.
I mean, they make good points.
So it could be 1727 now?
It just could be. What if nearly 300 years of history never happened? Stay with me. In 1991, a German historian named Hermann Illig proposed something that shakes the very foundation of time itself, the phantom time hypothesis. His claim? The years 614 to 911 AD were completely fabricated. They don't exist. They were inserted into history, and we've been living in a false timeline ever since. Now who would do this? And why? Enter Holy Roman Emperor Otto III, Pope Sylvester II, and Byzantine Emperor Constantine VII. Three powerful figures who supposedly conspired to alter historical records and manipulate the calendar. Why? Because Otto III wanted to rule in the symbolic year 1000 AD, a number that carries power, prophecy, and legitimacy. But instead of waiting, they fast-forwarded history itself. Now, think about this. We have written records from this missing period, sure. But where are the artifacts, the architecture, the undeniable physical proof? You'd expect 297 years to leave more behind. Yet it's eerily scarce. And if this sounds impossible, just remember, Tartaria was erased from history. If they can erase entire civilizations, why not rewrite time itself?
This is just a theory, not a fact.
I mean, I believe it. I believe it.
We are the first species.
Pay attention, people. Pay attention.
To be aware of evolution, to be aware that we are affecting our own evolution by everything that we do, the babies we eat, the food we eat, the wars we fight. We are the...
She legit just said the babies we eat.
I'm telling y'all, they always hide the truth in plain sight.
Sure is.
Make a deal with me, kid. You can have the car and everything that goes along with it. So what do you say?
Dude, thanks. That's a Freemason sign ring. And, wait a minute, that's obviously the devil.
Sign on the dotted line.
I was being led into a room, and Visayas had been watching a television transmission from Chicago. And policemen had just shot a black man that was running away. And then the policeman apparently ran over and tried to save his life. Okay? Visayas turns to me and he says, I don't understand your race. I don't understand why one would try to take his life and then the next minute try to save it. I didn't have an answer. In fact, many times I don't have an answer. Another time, I came on board. I was living in Lake Arrowhead at the time, and Warren A was looking at a group of meters on the ceiling of this ship, and it was all about the ozone and the air, oxygen content in our atmosphere. And he looked very distressed, and I said, "What's the matter?" And he said, "Don't they understand that all of this is here because they need it? They don't understand how we can just so carelessly destroy our environment." Now, folks, I want to share something with you. If there was not divine intervention, which apparently there has been, March 23rd of 1994, if there has not been divine intervention, and I will cover that, according to the Andromedans, we would only have 41 years left worth of oxygen in our environment. 3,500 years ago, the oxygen content, they say, was at 35, fluctuated between 35 and 38% between the North and South Poles. Today, at its highest level, it's less than 18%. Now, those of you who took biology, what happens to the human form when oxygen as a gas goes below 15%? We die. We suffocate. This is reality, folks. This is reality. This is not Peter Jennings. Okay? This, you know, we don't have anywhere else to go. You know, and for those, and this is just what I've been told. And for those of you who think there's going to be a rapture, you might be disappointed. And I'm not saying this to question your belief. I'm just telling you that there are much bigger forces going on here. Okay, next slide, please. Save the question, sir, for later. Okay, please. Next slide, please. Okay, this is our solar system. There is life in all of these systems surrounding us. They have been coming here for years. For years they've been coming here. Okay, mythology, there's a shred of truth in all of it. The work that Zecharia Sitchin is doing, an absolutely fantastic book is called The Gods of Eden by William Bramley. I would suggest that those of you who have not read it, go get it in paperback version. It'll bring you right up to speed right away. It's wonderful. And he's not a UFO person, which is why I enjoyed it even more. All the truths just led him right to it. In fact, there's more truth that the aliens are out there than they aren't. They just don't want you to know because they don't want you to know who you are. Because the minute we wake up, the game's over. They cannot control us. And if you look at our past history, if you read Zecharia Sitchin's books, we as a race, when we stand together, rebel against the gods, the ETs. We rebel because they have been, pardon my French, shitting on us for thousands and thousands and thousands of years and holding us back. Next slide, please. Okay, here's Earth. If we could just get on focus, thanks. This is what's left of Maldek. You know, the series of planets. The moon is not the only artificial. There are 9 artificial moons in our solar system, and I will share with you later what those are. I just want to cover a lot of information. Okay, next slide. Okay, this is the typical and traditional picture. Is that the focus, Steve? Okay, maybe it isn't. Okay. This is the traditional picture that we see of Earth. We got an awesome home, folks. It's one of the nicest ones around. But there's some things about our planet that have been withheld from us. For example, our Earth is, in fact, hollow. It is hollow. The next slide, I'm going to show you a NASA photograph that proves that there's an opening at the North Pole. Okay? You can find this photograph in a book called Our Violent Universe by Nigel Calder. It was first released in England, and I don't know how this one slipped through the cracks, but it did. Thank goodness. We are told that the gravity of our planet has to do with the rotation. According to the Andromedans and their science, the radiation of...
How you just gonna cut me off in the middle like that?
July 8, 1979, all the fathers of Nobel Prize winners were rounded up by United Nations military units, all right? And actually forced at gunpoint to give semen samples in little plastic jars, which are now stored below Rockefeller Center underneath the ice skating rink. You want to be there for the thaw? I mean, it's disgusting. You know what they put in the water, don't you? Fluoride. Yeah, fluoride. On the pretext that it strengthens your teeth. That's ridiculous. You know what this stuff does to you? It actually weakens your will. Takes away the capacity for free and creative thought and makes you a slave to the state. So you ever wonder about all these militia groups, survivalist type groups from the right-wing side? They say that they're defending the country from the UN troops. These guys are yelling so loud, my theory is, and this is a conspiracy, pal, that they are the UN troops and that they're in place. The infrastructure's ready, it's infiltrating complete. When the time comes, they'll just take over, we'll all be toast. Oswald, that's what I said, Oswald. He said, I'm just a patsy, and that means that he didn't do it, right? I mean, George Bush knew what he was saying when he said New World Order. Remember those three little words, New World Order? Well, he was a 33rd degree Mason, you know, and as ex-director of the CIA. He was saying that was the chip for identification so they can track down an animal anywhere he's at. They'll insert it under the dog's skin, and it's kind of like an identification thing. I mean, it's only a small, logical step until they start putting it in us and our children. And then, before we know it, my God, they'll probably come with the pretext. Oh, sure, yeah. Hey, is that one of those new hundreds? You know, where they changed the picture of Ben Franklin? Look at him, yeah. He looks like the love child of Fred Burtz and Rosie O'Donnell. See? Good. Because they'll follow you. They know where every one of those hundreds is going.
Sorry about that. My sister just tried to call.
As fellow Disney stars, are you all in a secret Illuminati-like club?
No!
Is it because you can't tell me if you are?
No.
Is that true, Sam?
Inconclusive. Can you imagine?
Alright, Generation 420, thanks for hanging out with me and watching these videos. I hope that you like them. Man, some of those conspiracies were a little on point. You know, you gotta wonder about that stuff. But, you know, this is just for entertainment purposes only. I'm not here to persuade you one way or another. You're smart enough to make up your own mind. with that being said, let's go ahead and give today's review. On the This Is Permanent from Ridonkulous. I'm feeling all right. It was a smooth smoke. The only thing I didn't like is at the end I had to keep relighting the short. So that's my only mark against it. However, the smoke is fantastic. I'm definitely good quality. I definitely do not feel like I need to smoke another one. I'm on that perfect level, that good level. So we are going to give the permanent. This is permanent. We're going to give it a solid 8.5 out of 10 buds. I think that's a good rating. 8.5 out of 10 buds. Only because I don't know what the THC or the CBD or the canna and all that. Usually they print that on the label for me. They did not this time, so I don't know. So yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me, man. I love you guys. Please support the channel. I'll leave a little QR code at the end of the video. You can pause the video, scan it, help support the channel so I can keep bringing you guys great videos. Again, thanks for hanging out with me. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Get us in your algorithm. And with that, guys, keep it hippie. Peace out.